Hello everyone, and welcome to Trades Talk Tuesdays. I am your host, Pop Culture Mechanic. You can call me Pop for short. And as this is Tuesday, this is all about Trades Talk. So whether you're interested in it, you know someone that's in it, you are in it, anything to do with skilled trades, anything you'd like to know, I can try and explain to you as best as I possibly can. So first off, let's get the chat set up here. And there we go. Good. As I will so often do, I will check the news of the week and see what is out there in the trades world. And I'll do that via MRO. So what I got first off is Toronto researcher wins MITAX award for green solution research. Let's see what that's all about. University of Toronto researcher Courtney Toth has been experimenting with fermenters to grow a cocktail of microbes that eat some of the world's most widespread contaminants. The research has earned Toth the MITAX award for commercialization. The award will be presented at a ceremony at the National Arts Centre in Ottawa on November 22nd. Well, that's today. Toth, a postdoctoral researcher working under the supervision of Professor Elizabeth Edwards in the Department of Chemical Engineering and Applied Chemistry at the University of Toronto, is being recognized for her role in the development of anaerobic microbial cultures, mixtures of bacteria and other microscopic organisms that grow in the absence of oxygen. Excuse me. That completely break down a toxic class of petroleum hydrocarbons known as BTEX. Benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and xylene. The technology builds on decades of research and is now being deployed at contaminated sites where oxygen is limited, including deep soils and groundwater. In Canada alone, petroleum-contaminated sites such as old gas stations and orphaned oil wells number in the thousands. Wherever we use petroleum products, there is a risk of hydrocarbon contamination. BTEX is especially hazardous when it enters groundwater systems, as it can spread far from the source of contamination. To protect humans and environmental health, we need cost-effective, sustainable solutions that can clean it up, said Toth. That's where our cultures really shine. After conducting dozens of lab experiments, Toth and her team have shown that the cultures developed can reliably degrade BTEX and are safe for use in the environment. Specialized drilling equipment is used to inject the cultures deep underground into plumes of hydrocarbon contamination. It's then up to the microbes to do the rest. Toth is one of 8 MITAX award winners nationally chosen from thousands of researchers who take part in MITAX programs each year. The remaining 7 recipients were recognized in other areas of research. Well, good. I would definitely get that up and going as fast as you can. Anything that can help take away the harmfulness and eat up the hydrocarbons that are harmful. It's a good idea. Vortex International wins IAAPA award. What is Vortex all about? Vortex Aquatic Structures International's product Dream Tunnel received an IAAPA Brass Ring Best New Product Exhibitor Award. The world's first fully immersive aquatic attraction won first place in the water park ride attraction category for products under $2 million. Named for the rings given to carousel riders at the first amusement parks, the IAAPA Brass Ring Award symbolizes achievement in the water park ride attraction category. Judges evaluate criteria such as originality, quality, and innovation of the product, benefit to the prospective buyer, and feedback received. We are so honored to be recognized for bringing something truly unique to the water park industry, said Stephen Hamelin, president of and CEO of Vortex International. Every team member has worked hard to bring the Dream Tunnel vision to reality. We look forward to collaborating with parks worldwide on future installations. The IAAPA 2022 Brass Ring Award winners were acknowledged during an awards ceremony on November the 16th. Siemens brings on-demand support for CNC. Siemens launches the Virtual Product Expert, a support program for its CNC machine tool users, machine builders, dealers, and importers. Through the VPE program, members can interact directly with a product expert and have their specific operation and programming questions answered. The service is offered to all Siemens CNC community members at no cost. Well, that's all right. With the rapid advancement in our numeric CNC technology on both the automation hardware and software sides, we see our VPE program as a vital part of our support offering, said John Meyer, Marketing Communications Manager, Siemens. We know it will benefit our machine tool users who are looking for immediate answers to their operation and programming challenges in order to keep their production running. It's like having a Siemens CNC expert in your back pocket. Sessions are typically 1 hour in length and are scheduled on a first-come, first-served basis. AGE Industries updates equipment to increase lead times. Okay. AGE Industries adds 2 flexo folder gluers, 2 unitizers, and 1 automated stitcher, and 1 new scrap handling system to its Texas plants that will increase efficiency and reduce forklift handling operations. I see. The addition of the 36-inch flexo folder gluers will increase open capacity, enable faster production, and reduce lead times. The 2-color flexos include a full rotary die-cut section and are rated to run 18,000 boxes an hour. With a 3-person crew, each new flexo can convert an additional 2 tractor-trailer loads of product per shift. The 4-head Synode unitizers can compress and strap units at a rate of 40-plus units per hour. What previously took the prior 2-person manual strapping process 10 to 15 minutes can now be done in under 30 seconds with 1 person. AG has fully conveyorized 2 of its plants, so products can be taken from the end of the machines is being manufactured on all the way to the unitizer, reducing the need for forklifts. Well, that sounds all right. Anything to reduce lead times. I know a lot of people are waiting on materials and such. Atlas Copco acquires Northeast Compressor. Atlas Copco, they're a pretty big outfit to begin with, so it sounds like they're buying up more compressor companies. Atlas Copco Compressors has acquired the operating assets of Northeast Compressor. Northeast Compressor sells air compressors, related equipment, and services in upstate New York. 6 employees will join Atlas Copco. Established in the 1980s, Northeast Compressor has been a part of Kinequip since the 1990s. Northeast Compressor has a strong parts and maintenance business, said Wagner Rego, Business Area President, Compressor Technique. The acquisition will help us get closer to customers and grow our geographic coverage in upstate New York. Purchase price is not disclosed. The acquired business will become part of the Compressor Technique business area. Okay. Ontario Engineering Regulator appoints CEO. I'm not too interested in that. PTDA celebrated its Warren Pike Award winner. Emerson partners with Equinor to offset carbon. Well, pretty thin on the news front there. Well, let's get into it, though. I said that I was going to talk about projects, and I'm going to talk about projects. So we'll go from here to here, and like that. So what we have here is one of the projects I was on back in 2007, 2008, was the relining of a drum digester. And I just want to show you what it looks like on the inside. Pretty much it's a giant metal tube that garbage gets put into. And it looks like this. So our task was to add more metal plates to the inside, because the garbage that flows through here was so abrasive that it wore away a lot of the interior. So we had to go in and attach these plates to the walls, floors, everywhere. It was 360 degrees. So you do 180 degrees of it. Everybody would get out, they'd spin the whole thing, and then we'd have to attach them to the rest of the whatever was left, the other 180 degrees. So this was quite the task. It took quite a few months to get this done. It wasn't the full length fit either. I think we only did a 50-meter section, like 150 feet. And this thing is about 5 meters in diameter, or about 15, 16 feet in diameter. So yeah, this was quite the vast undertaking. You had a permanent crew of six guys in there, and we had to have it was considered a confined space as well, so we had to have someone outside on a scaffolding, just watching us for 8 hours a day. And yeah, this is what it looked like. Here's a good shot on the outside here. I'll show you. So that tube there, that is what we were working inside, known as a drum digester. And all it does is it rotates about 1 RPM. Garbage gets fed in one end, and it takes about 3 days to get from one end to the other. During that time, the garbage is breaking down and decomposing, and it's also heating up. It heats up to about 60 degrees Celsius. So fairly warm, but helps break it down. And by the time it gets to the other end, it's about 80% composted, which is what we were aiming for, because this was a composting facility. So we had 5 of these large drum digesters, and every one of them was going to need to be relined on the inside. So there's the scaffolding that's set up for the man watch, the person that would watch us from the outside, because it was a confined space. So that poor guy had to sit up there. He had a heater with him, and we'd each take turns. We couldn't just let one guy go through that hellish environment. So we would take turns once a day. These are just pictures of the gears that do the actual driving for the drum digester. As you can see, there's a pen there. A person has put a pen there for scale. So those are quite large bull gears. There's another better shot. You can see they're fairly close together. Yeah, we were working in that one with the covers open, and it was during winter time, so it was very cold inside. Let's see here. So there's a shot inside, and as you can see, we had to install studs with a stud welder in order for these plates to stick or to be fastened to this the wall. And so we had to have a stud gun set up such that we could just use thousands and thousands. And there's a convex mirror. The fella could watch the guys inside just to make sure they were okay. So I wasn't allowed to break the plane, as you aren't when you're watching guys in a confined space. So as you can see, it got a little bit cold for the mirrors, but and on the walls too. There was quite a bit of frosting on the inside. Even if we did have a heater going all the time, it couldn't keep up and heat that area up. It was just too darn cold outside. I think minus 25, minus 30, something like that. So yeah, it was very frosty in there at times. That's why we're all fully dressed in our winter gear. But yeah, that's a good shot of it. And we'd eventually have to build some of our own little staging so that we could reach up the sides of the drum. Otherwise, we'd be a bunch of ladders. But this staging was very helpful, as it really let a couple of guys work in the same area at the same time. And whenever there was anything that was safety related, as you can see, there's a crack in this outlet. I don't know what happened, whether it was just the cold or whatever, but once something like that happens, you take it, you chop it, and you get it out of service. You don't keep using it. Here's the heater that the guy up on the scaffolding would get to use. This thing was cranked up to maximum, and it was so cold you can see that there's icicles, or little ice flakes, forming on the outside of the guard for this dish. So that's how cold it was. This thing it did all it could to try to keep up, and just couldn't do it. There's another shot of the snow on there. Now that's icy. And yeah, we get pictures, lots of pictures. When you're on a project and you're, you have to document everything. So I think this was just documenting the fact that we got a larger base installed on the scaffolding, so it wasn't as rickety. And in order to get all those plates in there, the best way to do it was to use scissor lift. Those things weighed about 50 pounds each. Each of those plates, they're about 5 inches in width and 5 feet long. And that's how we would get them up there. Let's see what else we got here. So because of the steel had to be warmed up and all moisture removed, otherwise you wouldn't get a good weld. So you have to take a tiger torch with you, and you go up in there and you drive out all the moisture out of the steel. And to make it a little easier on yourself when you had to tighten up the nuts to hold the plates down, get yourself a nice long T-handled wrench. And that way you don't have to bend at the back at all. You just take that and just tighten them up. There was our heater that we used. Try to dry the place out. Keep yourself a bit of warmth. Wasn't too bad. There's the stud gun. So it has a little ceramic insert and the steel stud in there, and you put that in there, pull the trigger, and it would zap the stud to the base. And then after that, we'd have to take the wire welding machines and hard surface the nuts so that they wouldn't get rubbed off by all the garbage that would go through there. And you always got to use your whip checks, because if anything ever happens where this thing comes apart, this thing's flying all over the place. And nobody wants to try to catch one of these things with high pressure air whipping around. What else we got here? Okay, so when we're first working here, in order to make it so we don't roll an ankle and anything like that, you put down some plywood. Makes for a good walking surface. Makes it a lot easier on the guys to get the material from one end of the drum to the other. And we have our setup here to rescue our, get ourselves rescued, because we needed that every day because it was a confined space. We had to have a basket, so the guys could get, if anyone needed it, they could get in the basket. They'd get put in there, and they could get strapped down, and then they would get pulled out up the ladder and out. There's a good shot of the stud welder, right at the point of activating the switch. It was a slow process, I'll say that. You're putting in studs, and you have a jig for that at a measured length. Then yeah, it was just a matter of putting in a ceramic insert and putting in a stud, putting it on the spot, zap, okay, up, next one. Yeah, so you'd have a few guys, and you could see there was, after you put the stud on, you put a long, we had long rolls of rubber to put underneath. So the studs would go on, and then the rubber would go on, and then the plates would go on, and then after that, you'd put on a washer and a nut, and that would get torqued down. So, it did get a bit dark there. It was working, because there's no natural light that would get very far in there, or any kind of lights that we had set up, we had over where we were working. So where you weren't working, it was quite dark. And there's our rescue davit arm crane that latched onto the basket, would pull you up that ladder, up and out. And from there you could be, rescued and put off to the side for an ambulance to come and get you if need be. And I believe that's how some of us would get in there as well, as we'd come down that other ladder. There's a close-up of one of the nuts after the hard surfacing was done to it. It's the nozzle of the wire gun, the MIG gun. I think afterwards we did a lot more coverage. I think they just wanted to have a nice, neat-looking weld, but it wasn't very functional, and we probably should have covered the whole thing. At least that's what I think. And we had quite the setup for the staging and such like that. We had good stairs, so you could always, you always had good ingress, egress. We were working along there. Okay, where did we leave off here? You see this one? I did see that one. There, we put up a few little bit of what do you call them? Railings to try to keep the contained on there. It wouldn't fall off. So we're about halfway. You can see halfway up the sides, halfway up the other side. So it's quite a lot of studs to put in. It's amazing the number of studs. What's this one? Okay, so you just welding away. Oh, there's a good shot. So this, because it's was so cold outside and warm inside, you got the air mixing. So you're getting fog inside the drum digester. So now you've got a visual hazard where you can't see very well. Anything interesting here? Oh, that was the type of fans we were using to try to make sure we have enough air exchanges, because you're in a confined space. You don't want to get overcome by any foul air. So we had a couple of fans going. Looks like a fella is passing up some material with the aerial platform. This is what we used for the tiger torch. Some propane. And this is where we'd store all of our stuff when we were going to rotate the drum. And you only have to rotate it once, because you get half of it done, and you got to rotate it, and you do the other half. But we put everything up off of the floor and onto the ram feeder deck. Yeah, everything's stored up there. There's a little better weld. Looks like it's got more passes to it, so should last a bit longer rather than getting worn away. What do we got here? I think we're checking the torque on these nuts. I think they have to be 60 foot-pounds, and so you'd torque it down and then mark it 60 foot-pounds. Some more. Oh, and this is a good one. So every 3 weeks, your scaffolding has to get checked. But we noticed something a little funny about this. As you can see here, it says expiry date February 13th, 07. Yeah, reinspect February 9th, 07. Expiry date February 30th. What was he thinking there? The guy that was doing the reinspection. So you got to be careful when you write your dates down. There is no February 30th, but he wrote it down there. So a little bit of a mistake on their part. I think this is just checking out how much gap is between some of these ribs. It was crazy. Like that's amazing. The amount of gap there. It just goes to show how much of that the material was taken out of there. Well, let's see what do we got here. Just some more shots of the guys. It looks like it's this is when the drum's been rolled over, and we're working on the next side. Because at the top you can see all those studs. Amazing. The amount of studs that were put in there. Where did I leave off here? Yeah, still some more going with the tiger torch. Is that it? Okay, no, I saw that one. We saw that one already. This is the jig they used. You could put it over top, and you would use a needler to get rid of all the rust at each of those points there. So it was nicely spaced out. So you'd use your needler, and then after that you would use your torch to get all the moisture out of there. And there they are. They're fitting up a plate. It looks like it fits pretty good for those. And you would put a washer and a nut over top. And then it looks like that fella is torquing them down. And that's quite the job, doing all that torquing. Yeah. What do we got here? Oh, that's a mistake somebody made? Could be. Sometimes you needed a big screen so you didn't get flashed, because being in that area, you could get arc flashed very easily, and then you have to suffer the consequences when you go home at night. You wonder why your eyes feel like there's sand in them. Well, it's because you got arc flash. We're getting close to the end. It looks like we're about 75-80% done here. Oh, this is what happens when you weld too long and too hard. You eventually your tip melts. Yeah, look at that. Melted it down. Too much heat. Welders do have duty cycles. So a duty cycle is your on and off time. So it'll say, a 10-minute duty cycle or 5-minute duty cycle, like how long you can actually have an arc going for before it needs a break. And I guess we had the vacuum in there trying to keep things clean up all the flammables and all that stuff. Once again, there's a good shot of the rubber, the under, I won't say underlay, but it's the base we put down so that the plates would, I guess, wouldn't rattle around as much, provide some good cushioning. There's a good shot of stud gun in action. That looks pretty cool with almost looks like purple there on the end of the tiger torch as it's taking the moisture out of the steel. And there's a close-up shot of a stud that's just been welded. There's a few of them. You can see that one has the ceramic insert still around it. We just come by afterwards with a chipping hammer and just chip that out of there. And she'd be ready to go. I do have some videos here. Let's see. No. There we go. Check out this one. This is stud welding in action. Yeah, and then you take your hammer and chip away and there you go. That's stud welding. I think this one, we were just rotating the drum and we just stopped it. So you could see all the snow that was on the top is now on the bottom. And so we finished rotating it and we were going to go lock it out after that, make sure it doesn't roll on us again. And we're going to all climb back inside and finish it off. What's another good one? Oh. He's welding and you can see there's the cold air coming in, hitting the warm air. So we were fighting a losing battle trying to stay warm in there. you'd really huddle around that electric heater. And then you'd have to try to dry out your gloves, especially if you're welding, because you'd get shocks from the welding machine if your gloves are wet and you're trying to put a rod in. This is pretty neat. This is the whole. This is in like electromagnetics and all that. When you get a big burst of electricity going through a copper wire, as you can see, okay, you see it just jump there. I can't make this any bigger. That's for the stud welder, and every time you would use it, you would see this the lines would just jump just from that sudden burst of electricity. Yeah, there you go. Okay. I was talking about the needler. This is it here. That fella, he's using the needler, which just gets rid of all the rust and everything. Makes it a nice bare metal surface. And then this other fella, he's loading up his stud gun and he's getting ready to fire off a stud. What's this one? Oh. This will be a bit bright. So there's no... I guess they're showing how the difference between using a shield and not having a shield around when someone's doing welding. Be a little bit hard on everybody's eyes. And then with a shield, you can see it's not as bad. Obviously, you don't want to stare at it this way either. But you know, we have to show people what it's like. There we go. Okay, I think this will show pretty good. You can see the fella here, he's heating up the area for the fella with the stud gun. So you heat it up, get rid of all the moisture, and then the fella with the stud gun, he comes along. And he does his thing. There you go. So yeah, that is some of the stuff that went on with that. And yeah, after everything was done, it looked just fantastic. All the studs in there, all the plates in there. Everything was all complete. And when we were done, we had a big crew photo. And so everybody's in there. As you can see, from top to bottom, brand new studs and plates. And then once we were done our job, we had to offload everything that we brought in there. Take our locks off, take off the fans, put everything back on, put the covers back on. And once that was all done, they could load garbage into it and just put it back into operation, where it would just slowly rotate. The garbage would travel down and break down with the heat and the abrasion, and that's what put it back into making compost. And then we would wondering whether we would get put onto another drum digester. Because yeah, here's what a drum digester looks like. It's a big long tube, as you can see. But that was the only one we got to do. We only got to do that one. And that was because I think they deemed it too expensive to do all that for 4 more of them, which was a shame. It was a good experience to have for me on that project. I really learned how to come together with everyone as a team. Everyone had a job to do and they knew what they had to do. Excuse me. Oh, what we did have in here, and I thought was quite neat, is they have what's called the zinc bars. These are sacrificial bars where the rust or anything that wants to attack the steel will attack the zinc bar and it will sacrifice itself first. So as long as you can keep having some of those around or swapping them out, so when they get used up, come in, you cut them out, you weld some new ones in, and then you keep going. And that was something I learned that was pretty neat. That was sacrificial metal. I think the same thing goes with ships as well at sea. They have zinc bars, and they use those as sacrificial, and it gets attacked rather than the metal in the structure. So that was pretty neat, I thought. And yes, you learn how to deal with the cold. This taught me a lot about trying to stay warm and make sure you don't sweat when you're out in the cold, because that's even worse for you. Because then you're going to get into like stuff like hypothermia and frostbite and stuff like that, and nobody needs that. Nobody needs frostbite. Nobody needs to have to lose a limb or a digit, something like that. But this was pretty incredible. The heater cranked up to full blast, and it still couldn't melt those little snow crystals on the face of it. So that's my big project that I did years ago. It was quite a good experience for me. Gave you something to focus on, and you had your full concentration on what to do, and the guys were really open to new ideas and suggestions as to how we can solve some of the problems. And some of the most simplest answers came from the guys with the least amount of experience, which was pretty incredible. It's nice when you have a team of everyone that's willing to listen to everything and to be just open-minded about ideas. Anything that can help the job go better. Well, I think that's almost all the pictures I have of that project. I do have more projects and more pictures, but gotta save those for the next time. Maybe we'll do some media filter replacement on the next one. Hopefully that'll be interesting for you. Yeah, what a blast of nostalgia this is for me, reviewing things that I've gone through. If you've gone through something like this, or if you know of anybody that has, let me know. I'd be interested. I like seeing pictures, videos of the the places that people don't get into. The average, Joe Public doesn't get to go inside of a drum digester like this. And you get to see what, well, for me it was an eye-opener too, is how compost is made on an industrial scale. Your garbage leaves your house. Well, after that, it's out of your mind. You don't care. But this place took the garbage of the city, and it would make it into compost. And this drum digester was part of the process. But it's amazing that the garbage was so abrasive that it would just take down the metal and make it really thin. I believe the walls of this thing were started out at a 1 inch thick. And by the time we got to it, I think it was 3/8 of an inch thick. So that is a lot of metal to wear down, which is why we were there, to try to fix it back up. And there's those plates there, 5 inches wide, 5 feet long, 50 pounds each. And that's a lot of them. Pallets and pallets of them. Well, I think that's going to be it for me for today. This was a fun little throwback to one of the first projects I was on. Hope you had a good time listening, watching, seeing what some of the projects are out there. I'm curious to know if anyone else has some good project stories. If you can, shoot them to me. I'd be more than happy to read them through. Even have you on as a guest. Because why not? That would be a fun time. Some nice sort of an interview, if you will. Well, other than that, I believe this will be it for me. I hope you had a good time. I've had a good time, and we'll do this again next week. Coming up on Saturday will be my gaming stream. I'll be playing Advance Wars for the GBA. I'm really getting into this now. It's a pretty darn good game. Really enjoying it. Love the strategy. So I'll be playing that on Saturday. On Sunday is Sunday Anime Chat. And I'm going to pick an anime from the 70s, 80s, 90s. And hopefully it's one that's a little more obscure. And if it's good, I'll let you know. If it's not so good, well, I'll tell you that too. And I haven't decided which one it's going to be, but hopefully it'll be something that I enjoy. And then once again, on Tuesday, Trades Talk Tuesday, we'll be sharing more projects that I've been a part of. And hopefully chatting more with all of you. If you know anyone that's in the skilled trades, or if they're interested, or if they've been a part of any projects and they have pictures and such, I'd really appreciate hearing about it. So, my information should be in the description. I have Discord, and I'm on Twitter. And my Twitter handle is @PopCultureMech1. I want to thank you all for stopping by. Anybody that was lurking and listening, I appreciate that. If you can, please hit the like button. Tell your friends. Spread the word. There's other channels to visit as well. Some of the other good creators out there are like Pacific 414 and Blaine from Blaine's Escape Corner. There's Ronin66 and DJ Ronnie G. There's Brandon the Anime Guy, the Nerdporeal Lifeform, and Punkwaddle from Floral from Under a Rock. So, pay them a visit too. They're good people. I like watching their stuff. So until next time, I am Pop Culture Mechanic, and I am signing off.